Our latest welding tool from HTP America is a tungsten grinder, a high-quality grinder for grinding tungsten electrodes. Before I demonstrate the use of this high-quality tungsten grinder, I'd like to discuss electrodes for just a moment. A pure tungsten electrode, indicated by the green tip, comes in a variety of diameters: 20 thousandths, 40 thousandths, 1/16 inch, 3/32 inch, and 1/8 inch diameter are the common sizes. For aluminum welding, pure tungsten is a recommended electrode for most TIG welding machines. In the case of HTP America machines, you can use other electrodes even with aluminum. For carbon and stainless steel, TIG welding is done with electrodes that have other materials in them than pure tungsten. Common electrodes for alloy steel welding and for stainless would be thorium, lanthanated, or seriated. This is a 1.5% lanthanated 40,000th inch electrode. This tungsten has 1.5% lanthanated material in it. Unlike the green tip, this has a gold or other color tips. Seriated electrodes. Again, these are all tungstens. This is a 2% seriated. Has a slightly different colored tip on it than the lanthanated. As you can see, all of my electrodes, my tungstens, come from HTP America as well. A red-tipped electrode would actually be thoriated, typically 2% thoriated, commonly used for alloys and stainless steel, and traditionally a very desirable tungsten electrode for most TIG welders. Thoriated, as compared to lanthanated or seriated, again this is lanthanated, this would be seriated. Thoriated or red-tipped electrodes are slightly radioactive. For that reason, and having been an instructor in an adult education environment, I prefer not to use radioactive materials and have substituted lanthanated and seriated in place of thoriated electrodes. These tungstens, in my opinion, work just as well, especially with a machine like the HTP America 221. The tip color indicates the type of material in the tungsten. In the case of these lanthanated electrodes from HTP America, the bronze or dull gold color is lanthanated, different sizes, still lanthanated. Regardless of the shading, these colors are distinctly different than red or green. Again, red being thorium or thoriated tungsten electrodes, and green being pure tungsten, traditionally used for aluminum welding. I've used other non-radioactive electrodes, including tungstens that were gray-tipped, called trimix, and other rare earth type materials, again non-radioactive. I have a small grandchild who I introduce to my shop on occasion. I really don't want radioactive dust around in tungstens that have been ground on grinders or open face wheel grinders especially. Which brings me to another footnote. The grinders used in a typical shop, a bench grinder, is really not what you're supposed to use for thoriated tungsten electrodes. The dust comes off the wheel, collects in the shop. I've seen demonstrations in YouTube videos and elsewhere where people are indiscriminately grinding thoriated red tip electrodes on an open face bench grinder, and the dust is literally accumulating in the shop. If that dust is picked up on your fingers, a cigarette smoker handling a cigarette, or someone eating their lunch without washing their hands thoroughly after handling this grinding dust, there is a safety and health risk involved. Again, I eliminate that whole stigma by using seriated and lanthanated electrodes. Those kinds of tungstens are safer, and you don't have to be concerned about children or employees in your shop who may not be as discriminating as you are about washing up or collecting dust. which raises another issue, and a good reason to have a grinder like this. Grinders, like bench grinders, do send dust all over the shop. Technically, if you are using thoriated electrodes, you're supposed to have a collection system specially designed to not allow that dust to lay on shop tools, your bench tops, and elsewhere. All of that can be avoided by a quality grinder of this nature that collects the dust and allows you to safely empty this grinder out when you're through and create a situation where your shop does not have electrode grinding dust around. Again, using non-radioactive materials certainly is a lot safer than using thoriated. Granted, I don't want my grandson to ingest lanthanated, seriated, or any other material that also has an MSDS hazard involved. Rare earth metals are not safe for ingestion either, but at least they're not radioactive. So regardless of what type of electrodes you're using, a grinder of this sort makes grinding the tungsten much easier, much more precise, and as I said, helps you collect the dust that comes off the grinder. Regardless of what type of electrode you're using, a grinder like this HTP America product is optimal for shaping the tips accurately, precisely. Remember, with TIG welding, it's absolutely essential that when you grind a tip, you have the striations running this way so that when the arc is created, that arc will want to form straight toward the metal and not fan out because the electrode is not ground in a striated way accurately in this direction. This grinder eliminates any guesswork around that and consists of a collet that you insert the electrode into that actually regulates the angle of the cut as this approaches a diamond wheel. Although some of us have had years of experience at grinding electrodes on typical grinding wheels and holding the electrode in such a way that the striations go in the right direction, the design of this grinder is such that you simply insert the electrode into the collet, and in doing so, it aligns the electrode tip with the diamond wheel at a correct angle, and in this case this is the standard grinder that is preset to 22.5 degrees. And you simply, with the wheel spinning, rotate the electrode as you press very gently toward the wheel. In the process, the tip gains the 22.5 degree angle that is essential. The neat thing about this tool is that if you want to cut off a damaged end, and again, you don't want to contaminate your electrode with carbon and stainless and then apply that to the diamond wheel. In the process, you'll damage the wheel and shorten the service life of the diamond wheel. So if you have a contaminated tip from welding stainless or steel materials, you'll want to use the special notch that's cut in the head that enables you to put a groove around the electrode and then break the tip off in a way that you can follow up by either grinding the tip, again in this case to the 22.5 degree angle, or if for whatever reason you're in a welding situation where you want a blunted end or flat end, like orbital welding, you can drop through one of the 4 holes that are above the diamond grinding wheel, and in the process bring the electrode perpendicular to the wheel to grind a flat end on the tungsten electrode. Again, you have 4 diameters to work with for grinding flats. You have the universal slot for a damaged or contaminated tip, and you have the collet that is the right diameter. In this case it happens to be 3/32 of an inch to receive the electrode at the correct angle for grinding a striated tip to 22.5 degrees, or if you buy the upgrade version of this, there is an adjustable angle head available, and that style grinder can be set from 10 to 30 degree angle. Again, I'd like to qualify that when you're doing the cutoff of a contaminated end that's been contaminated with carbon steel, stainless steel, or even aluminum, you want to make a point of using the slot to just create a groove around the electrode. It's recommended that you cut maybe halfway into the electrode and then break off the contaminated tip. It would be wasteful to continue grinding and attempt to cut all the way through the electrode. It's unnecessary. HTP offers several grinders. This being the standard grinder and ideal for our usage, there is the adjustable head grinder that will give you different tip angles, again from 10 to 30 degree angles. There's even a rechargeable battery grinder that you can use in the field and simply recharge the battery after field use. Changing the grinding wheel is not difficult. You simply use the Allen wrench to loosen this screw and this screw completely, lift the top off, and you have access to the diamond grinding wheel. One of the features that I like is that you can flip the wheel over as well and get a second service life out of the grinding wheel. Considering the cost of a diamond replacement wheel, that's a very useful aspect of the design in this tool. The grinder is now plugged in. Again, the electrode angle is set at the factory for 22.5 degrees. There is a speed control at the lower end of the handle. This is the lowest speed, the medium speed, and high speed. This is medium speed, and we'll start there. I'll demonstrate cutting the electrode tip on the pure tungsten 3/32 inch electrode. The full spectrum of electrode diameter cullets is available from HTP America. As with any other power tool, you should use safety glasses. And in this case, I'll put on my reading glasses. The procedure is simple. I'll use the collet for 3/32 of an inch diameter and insert the electrode through the collet and look through the face or opening here to see its relationship to the wheel. We'll go ahead and grind this electrode. I'll want to dip it into the wheel with slight pressure and pull it in and out to avoid heating up the wheel. It's a rotating technique. And you can see that I'm forming a tip. I don't want the electrode to overheat, and I don't want to damage the diamond wheel. I just want to remove the necessary material to bring that tip to a point. You want to rotate the electrode evenly. We're almost there. Just about have it. No wasted material. A uniform angle. On my best day at the grinding bench, I could not have ground a tip any more accurately than this, when in this case with a green tip, I'm welding aluminum. Some may question, why am I grinding a tip like this on an aluminum or green full tungsten electrode? I use the 221 HTP America TIG welder, and I'm able to use a pointed tip like this even for aluminum welding. This collet happens to be 3/32 of an inch, but I have two other collets that are available at the top and can be easily removed with the Allen wrench and inserted here for different diameter electrodes. I'd emphasize that there's not a speck of dust on my tabletop. And if you're looking for a quality grinder, look no further than HTP America. This one really does the job, and what you just witnessed is my use of the tool for the first time. I really like the results.